up? It's your girl Anma, and I'm here with the multi-talented singer, songwriter, self-producer, instrumentalist Issa. Hey, how are you?
Hi.
It's not that I'm a crazy stalker or anything, but once I knew we were interviewing, I just stalked every single piece of music you ever put out, and I need to hear the vision behind your EP, Up All Night. It's a masterpiece, and yeah, let's get into it. Let's just dive deep in.
That is so sweet. Yeah, Up All Night was like, I feel like I birthed a baby with that EP. It was thank you. But like it's like a whole story about like basically my first love and like my relationship with that person. And like, you know how first loves are, like they're passionate, they're intense, they could be obsessive. Like it was a lot. And so this EP, I wanted to encompass that, and that's kind of how it came about. So it was a very emotional process, and I was touring while I was making the EP as well. So it was like a lot of like traveling in between studio sessions, and I mean I love that life, and I'm so grateful I could do it. But yeah, it was definitely a big process.
So did you bounce between different engineers? Because I know like working with singers, like they're very picky about the mics and the engineers and the atmosphere. Like, were you bouncing in between different ones?
So no, I typically, he goes by Dr. Reed, and he is so fire. And I engineer as well and produce. And so we just bounce back and forth.
Oh, so you're an engineer and producer. That's a really great talent to have.
Yeah, I mean, it works awesome because I can always send like stuff remotely to him, and then when we get together in the studio, like it's just the workflow is really nice. Well, and then I work also in LA. I work with some other producers as well who are also engineers, and I feel like it goes hand in hand nowadays, you know.
Do you have like a specific memory that stands out of you recording a specific song that you would like to give your 2 cents about?
The last song that I wrote was called Up All Night for the EP, and that is what ended up being the title of it, which was awesome. It was the last song. I didn't know I was going to write it, and I had just come back from a stretch in LA where I played a show and I was working on some other stuff, and I came back and I was like, because I was traveling so much and I was still with this person, it was like a long distance relationship, which is so hard when it's like your first passionate love.
Oh yeah.
So I got in the studio with Reed, and he was like, what are we trying to do today? And I was like, I'd been listening to so much Tinashe for some reason. I was obsessed with her. But anyways, listen, she's fire. But we were just like listening to her, and I was like, I had this idea of like, you know that feeling when you come back from a long trip and you're so excited to see somebody, you know?
Yeah.
And that's how it kind of came about. And I just remember being in the studio, and the words just like we wrote the song in like an hour. It was so quick.
Because you were feeling it. You were inspired. So do you feel like that's your favorite song off of the EP?
I would say that one. Yes, and Just You and I, because it's so hard to choose.
Love that one. It's so funny because you're literally picking my 2 favorites. I love those 2.
Thank you.
Yes, Just You and I is it's like chef's kiss. It's perfect.
That was another. It was just like it flowed so easily. It was really awesome. And the producer out in LA, he's an amazing guitarist, and you can hear it on the record. Like,
yeah,
he just did his thing, and it sounded so good. I do a lot of like programming with beats, and I play bass and guitar. But I mean, like, I work with so many amazing producers who do it much better than me too. So I just let them do their thing sometimes.
And I love that. I think that knowing how to play an instrument, no matter what your level is, kind of gives singers, songwriters like a really special insight in communication as well. Such like a different type of language, like producer language, engineer language, songwriting language, instrumentalist language. So I love that you're so well-rounded in it all. And honestly, I wish that more artists took that well-roundedness more seriously, because I think it would really change the game, like, completely. Speaking of well-roundedness, we love a multiracial queen. And you being Russian and Costa Rican, I'm Russian and Puerto Rican, we're cousins, hey girl. I love when people combine their different cultures and races and languages. And I just wanted to know, like, as a multiracial woman, how has it been making music with those two cultural influences in your life?
It's so cool. And I have to give props to my mom, because she, like, growing up, she listened to so much music, so many genres, and she put me onto so much good music. And it's like, as well as like culturally being diverse, it's just getting put onto different cultures early on, and surrounded by your own culture too. It's like, I don't know, it gives you a bigger world view, you know? And yeah, and so, I mean, I grew up listening to like funk and disco and jazz, and my mom had this boombox she would like play these CDs from, and she had like best of the 80s, best of the 70s. So I really grew up on a lot of kinds of music, and I want my sound to reflect that, you know? Well, my mom's like, she's a crazy artist as well. She's like against the grain type of like woman as well. And so yeah, I think that's just like in her nature.
I love that for her. And if there's one thing a Russian is unapologetically themselves. Like 1,000%, like if you know type of thing. They're so like themselves, and they just don't care. I know that you're also located in Nashville, that you mentioned before, and Nashville's country music capital, but you're alternative R&B, and I would love to know where you live, how that influenced your writing and singing style as a whole.
You know what? I kind of fell here, like, and I love it here, but it was so random. Like, I came here for school, I went to Belmont, and then I just, like, you build a community where you live. And so I built all these friendships, and like, it just feels really cozy here. Nashville's an amazing city. Like, and there is so much country music, but it's cool to me. I didn't grow up on country music, and now I'm learning about it. And like, the songwriting is awesome, and like, oh my God, I'm obsessed with Dolly Parton. Like, she's
oh my gosh, she's an icon. I love her.
Literally an icon. And so it's awesome to have all this talk about different influences. I think it's so cool. And I mean, I naturally make R&B and pop and alternative music, but that doesn't mean I can't be influenced by other things, so I love being here.
I don't have a lot of knowledge into country music either, but the writing style is so like it just, they read you down. And I feel like lyrically, your music reflects that. I do notice that. You are a very good storyteller with your music. So, your team did gloat about you a little bit, and they were talking about your incredible placements on all these major platforms like Hulu, MTV, and Netflix. You had a few songs in Keeping Up with the Kardashians, I saw.
Yeah.
Show off. I love that. And it wasn't surprising to me because you're multi-talented, so of course you are entering this incredible part of the music business, but I want to know, like, how did you get into that career move? What was the process like for you?
It was random. Like, I feel like how everything else is in my life, because I remember watching the Kardashians, and one of my songs was like, it was in like the first episode of the new Keeping Up with Kardashians, and it was like Kim's intro, and like,
wow.
And it was so, I mean, like, that shook me for real.
That's such a huge accomplishment, though. Like, to even be chosen is like crazy, because everybody and their mother down the block releases music. Like, to have yours is like amazing.
It was like I don't care what happens after this, like, I made it type of thing, Now
that I'm familiarized, I'm sure I've heard it, and I'm just like, oh, it's such a great song. I wonder who did that. Now that I know, and I'm associated with fame, I'm gonna look out, and every time I hear, I'm gonna text you like, did you know this? I'm gonna keep an eye out for you, girl.
Thank you.
Period. What is a piece of advice that you can offer artists that you wish someone told you in the beginning of it all?
I would say there's no like golden ticket. Like, I would say, and I'm just being real with myself. Like, back in the day, I was like, oh, if I sign with a label, then I will make it, or if I'm like, if I get this pub deal, I'll make it. And it's like, really, nothing is set like that. It's just you putting in work, and keep having fun and keep putting your music out there and getting it to more people. Like, that's all you really can do. And there's no, I personally don't think there's one like thing that someone can give you to be like, you've made it now. Like it's all just you doing it. So for better or worse, that's the advice I would give. Yeah, I don't know. The advice I would give myself is stay focused on the music, make it as good as possible, and reach as many people as possible, and nothing else matters.
What are your plans for 2025? You could go personal, you could go career-wise. Like, I'm just being nosy.
Definitely. Okay, I'm working on an album.
Ooh.
So that is going to be what 2025 is dedicated to.
Period. I'm excited. If it's anything like the EP, it'll be even better, even more. I'm hyped. As long as you do a show in New York so I can see you live. Don't forget about your fans here in NYC, okay?
I love NYC so much.
Oh my god. Girl, me too. I'm so excited to have you here at some point in the future. We'll connect. We'll have a great time. We have a traditional question. When we were creating NSR, we put a post on Facebook and we asked people to describe music with one word, and it came up with natural soul and rhythm. So now it's our traditional question we ask, and we always get the most fun, interesting answers. So, if you could describe music with one word, what would it be and why?
I feel like... Okay, it's 2 words.
No worries. I can accept 2 words.
Okay. I feel like it's like tangible emotion.
You know what I mean?
You're such a songwriter. You're such a songwriter.
It's putting feelings into sound. When you hear a song, like it puts you back to the first time you ever heard it, you know? It's encapsulating emotions into this little like present that you listen to.